When my 68-year-old mother, Carol, received her type 2 diabetes diagnosis, the doctor handed her a prescription and said, "You'll need to take this for the rest of your life." Her blood sugar was 240, her A1C was 9.2, and she was told to prepare for a lifetime of medication management. 8 months later, Carol walked into the same doctor's office with normal blood sugar levels, at a 1C of 5.8, and no medications. Her doctor stared at the test results and asked, "What exactly did you do?" This is the story of how my mother reversed her diabetes naturally. Important medical disclaimer: this story shares one person's medically supervised journey with type 2 diabetes reversal. This should never replace professional medical advice. Diabetes management requires medical supervision, and not everyone will experience these results. Always work with your healthcare provider before making any changes to diabetes treatment. This isn't just a success story, it's a roadmap for anyone who's been told that type 2 diabetes is a progressive, irreversible condition. Carol's journey shows that with the right approach, medical supervision, and commitment, remarkable transformations are possible even later in life. The shocking diagnosis: Carol had always been relatively healthy throughout her 60s. She had some weight around her midsection that she attributed to getting older, occasional fatigue that she blamed on busy grandparent duties, and increased thirst that she thought was just hot weather. But when she went for her annual physical at 68, routine blood work revealed a shocking truth. "Your blood glucose is 240, Dr. Williams told her. That's well into the diabetic range. We need to run some additional tests, but I'm quite certain you have type 2 diabetes." The follow-up tests confirmed the diagnosis. Carol's A1C, a measure of average blood sugar over 3 months, was 9.2. For context, normal A1C is below 5.7, prediabetes is 5.7 to 6.4, and diabetes is 6.5 or higher. At 9.2, Carol was in dangerous territory. "I was shocked," Carol recalled. "I knew diabetes ran in my family, but I always thought I was the healthy one. My father had diabetes, my sister has it, but I thought I had somehow escaped it." Dr. Williams explained that Carol's diabetes had likely been developing for months, or even years, without obvious symptoms. The fatigue, increased thirst, and gradual weight gain had all been warning signs that went unrecognized. "The good news," Dr. Williams said, "is that we caught this before you developed serious complications. But you'll need to start medication immediately and prepare for lifelong management." Carol left that appointment with a prescription for metformin, dietary guidelines that seemed overwhelming, and the sobering reality that she had joined the 37 million Americans living with diabetes. The research phase, and like many patients who accept their diagnosis without question, Carol decided to research everything she could about type 2 diabetes. What she discovered both discouraged and encouraged her. The discouraging news: conventional medical wisdom suggested that type 2 diabetes was a progressive disease that would likely worsen over time, requiring increasing medication doses and possibly insulin. The encouraging news: Carol found numerous studies and case reports of people who had reversed their type 2 diabetes through intensive lifestyle interventions. She learned that unlike type 1 diabetes, which requires insulin due to autoimmune destruction of insulin-producing cells, type 2 diabetes often develops due to insulin resistance that can potentially be reversed. "I spent weeks reading everything I could find," Carol said. "I read medical journals, success stories, and research studies. I learned that type 2 diabetes isn't necessarily a life sentence if you're willing to make dramatic lifestyle changes." Carol discovered that several medical professionals were having success with diabetes reversal programs that focused on intensive dietary changes, weight loss, and metabolic reset. She learned about the work of doctors like Roy Taylor in the UK, who had demonstrated diabetes reversal through very low-calorie diets, and Jason Fung in Canada, who was using intermittent fasting approaches. Most importantly, Carol found that the key to diabetes reversal seemed to be reducing insulin resistance through weight loss, particularly the loss of visceral fat around organs like the liver and pancreas. The conversation with Dr. Williams armed with her research, Carol returned to Dr. Williams for what she hoped would be an open conversation about alternatives to lifelong medication. "I've been reading about diabetes reversal," Carol told him. "I'd like to try an intensive lifestyle approach before starting medication. Would you be willing to supervise me through this process?" Dr. Williams was initially skeptical. "Carol, I appreciate your motivation, but diabetes reversal isn't guaranteed, and it requires very intensive lifestyle changes that most patients can't maintain long-term." But Carol was persistent. She presented some of the research she had found and explained that she understood the risks and challenges. She proposed a 3-month trial period where she would implement intensive lifestyle changes while monitoring her blood sugar closely. "If my numbers don't improve significantly in 3 months, I'll start the medication," Carol promised. "But I want to try this first." After some discussion, Dr. Williams agreed to supervise Carol's attempt at diabetes reversal with several conditions: daily blood sugar monitoring, weekly check-ins, monthly lab work, and immediate medical intervention if her blood sugars became dangerously high. "I'm willing to support this," Dr. Williams said, "but we need to be very careful and very systematic about monitoring your progress." The intensive lifestyle program, Carol's diabetes reversal program, was based on several key principles she had learned from her research. Dramatic calorie reduction. Carol implemented a very low-calorie diet, around 800 to 900 calories daily for the first 2 months, designed to rapidly reduce liver fat and restore insulin sensitivity. Carbohydrate elimination. Carol removed almost all carbohydrates from her diet, focusing on protein, healthy fats, and non-starchy vegetables. Intermittent fasting. Carol practiced a 16 to 8 intermittent fasting schedule, eating only within an 8-hour window each day. Daily exercise. Carol committed to 45 to 60 minutes of walking daily, plus strength training exercises 3 times per week. Stress management. Carol implemented daily meditation and stress reduction practices, knowing that chronic stress contributes to insulin resistance. "It was intense," Carol admitted. "The first 2 weeks were the hardest. I was hungry, tired, and sometimes cranky. But I was also motivated by seeing my blood sugar numbers improve every day." Carol's typical daily meals during the intensive phase looked like this: breakfast, breaking fast at noon; scrambled eggs with spinach and avocado lunch; large salad with grilled chicken; olive oil and vegetables dinner; salmon with roasted; broccoli and cauliflower snacks; nuts, hard-boiled eggs, or vegetables with hummus, limited portions. The first month results within just 2 weeks. Carol began seeing dramatic improvements in her blood sugar levels. Her morning fasting glucose, which had been consistently over 200, dropped to the 160s, then the 140s. "I couldn't believe how quickly my body responded," Carol said. "Every morning, I would test my blood sugar and see improvement. It was incredibly motivating." By the end of the first month, Carol had lost 18 pounds and her fasting blood glucose was consistently in the 120s, still elevated, but dramatically improved from her starting point of 240. Dr. Williams was encouraged by the progress, but cautioned Carol about long-term sustainability. "These are excellent short-term results," he said, "but the real test will be whether you can maintain these changes and continue to see improvement over time." Carol's energy levels had also improved dramatically. "I realized how much the high blood sugar had been affecting my energy," she said. "I felt like I had my vitality back for the first time in years." Months 2 and 3. Continued progress. As Carol continued her intensive program, her results became even more impressive. By the end of month 2, her fasting blood glucose was consistently in the 100 to 110 range, and she had lost a total of 28 pounds. "I started allowing myself a few more calories and slightly more variety in my diet," Carol said. "But I stayed very low carb and continued the intermittent fasting." Carol also began strength training more seriously, working with a trainer who specialized in older adults. "I realized that building muscle was important for insulin sensitivity," she said. "The more muscle I had, the better my body processed glucose." By month 3, Carol's blood sugar readings were consistently in the normal range, 80 to 100 milligrams DL fasting, and she was feeling better than she had in years. Dr. Williams ordered comprehensive lab work at the 3-month mark. The results were remarkable. Carol's A1C had dropped from 9.2 to 6.8, still technically diabetic, but a dramatic improvement. I was amazed by Carol's progress, Dr. Williams said. But I wanted to see if she could sustain these improvements over a longer period before we considered her diabetes truly reversed. Months 4 through 8, sustainability and refinement. Second phase of Carol's journey focused on finding a sustainable, long-term approach that would maintain her improvements while allowing for a more varied and enjoyable diet. Carol gradually increased her calorie intake to a more sustainable 1,200 to 1,400 calories daily while maintaining very low carbohydrate intake. She continued intermittent fasting, but allowed herself more flexibility on weekends. I learned to enjoy foods I had never appreciated before, Carol said. When you eliminate sugar and processed carbs, your taste buds change. I started loving the natural sweetness in vegetables and the satisfaction of quality proteins and fats. Carol also expanded her exercise routine to include swimming, yoga, and hiking. Exercise stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling like celebration of what my body could do, she said. Perhaps most importantly, Carol learned to navigate social situations and special occasions without abandoning her new lifestyle. I brought my own food to family gatherings, found restaurants that could accommodate my needs, and learned that I could enjoy social events without centering them around food. The 8-month results at Carol's 8-month follow-up appointment. Dr. Williams reviewed lab results that exceeded even his most optimistic expectations. Carol's A1C was now 5.8, firmly in the normal, non-diabetic range. Her fasting glucose averaged 85 to 95 milligrams DL. Her insulin levels had normalized. Her inflammatory markers had improved dramatically. She had lost a total of 45 pounds and maintained the weight loss. These results are medically remarkable, Dr. Williams told Carol. By every measure we use to diagnose and monitor diabetes, you no longer have the disease. But perhaps more importantly to Carol, she felt amazing. I had more energy at 68 than I'd had in my 50s, she said. My sleep was better, my mood was stable, and I felt confident about my health for the first time in years. What made Carol's success possible? Carol's diabetes reversal was the result of several factors working together. Early intervention. Carol's diabetes was caught relatively early, before she had developed significant complications or been on medication for years. Intensive initial approach. The very low-calorie diet for the first 2 months created rapid fat loss, particularly around the liver and pancreas, which restored insulin sensitivity. Carbohydrate restriction. Eliminating most carbohydrates removed the primary driver of blood sugar spikes and allowed her insulin sensitivity to recover. Weight loss. Carol's 45-pound weight loss, particularly the loss of visceral fat, was crucial for reversing insulin resistance. Exercise. Regular physical activity improved her insulin sensitivity and helped maintain muscle mass during weight loss. Medical supervision. Dr. Williams's monitoring ensured Carol's safety throughout the process and provided motivation through documented progress, commitment, and support. Carol's determination and family support helped her maintain the intensive lifestyle changes required for success. The science behind diabetes reversal. Carol's success is supported by growing scientific evidence that type 2 diabetes can be reversed in many cases. Research has shown that diabetes reversal is most likely when the diagnosis is relatively recent, less than 6 years. Significant weight loss occurs, typically 10 to 15% of body weight. Visceral fat is reduced through diet and exercise. Carbohydrate intake is dramatically reduced. The changes are maintained. Long-term studies, like the DIRECT trial in the UK, have shown that nearly half of people with type 2 diabetes can achieve remission through intensive lifestyle interventions. However, diabetes reversal isn't possible for everyone. People with long-standing diabetes, those who have lost significant beta cell function, or those with other complicating factors, may still require medication, even with optimal lifestyle changes. Dr. Williams's perspective. Carol's success changed Dr. Williams's approach to treating newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes patients. Carol taught me that I was too quick to assume medication was the only option, Dr. Williams said. Now I discuss intensive lifestyle interventions with all my newly Diagnosed diabetes patients, though I emphasize that not everyone will have Carol's results. Dr. Williams now recommends a trial period of intensive lifestyle intervention for appropriate patients before starting medication, always with close medical supervision. The key is identifying patients who are motivated and have the support system needed for such intensive changes, he said. Carol had both, which made her success possible. Family impact. Carol's transformation had ripple effects throughout our family. Her success motivated other family members to examine their own health habits and risk factors. Watching Mom reverse her diabetes made us all realize that we had more control over our health than we thought, my sister said. Several of us made significant dietary changes and increased our exercise as a result. Carol's grandchildren also benefited from her new lifestyle. Grandma became our hiking buddy and taught us to cook healthy meals, her 12-year-old grandson said. She's more fun now than she used to be. Challenges and setbacks. Carol's journey wasn't without difficulties. She experienced several challenges that tested her commitment. Social pressure, family and friends sometimes made her dietary restrictions difficult by offering foods she couldn't eat or questioning her extreme approach. Cravings. Carol experienced intense carbohydrate cravings for the first month, which required significant willpower to overcome. Plateau periods. There were weeks when her blood sugar improvements stalled, which was discouraging and required renewed commitment. Holiday challenges. Special occasions and holidays tested Carol's resolve and required creative solutions to maintain her lifestyle. Exercise. Injuries. Minor injuries from increased physical activity occasionally disrupted her routine and required modifications. There were definitely moments when I wanted to give up, Carol admitted. But seeing my blood sugar numbers improve kept me motivated, and my family's support made the difference. Long-term maintenance. Now, 2 years after her initial diagnosis, Carol maintains normal blood sugar levels and takes no diabetes medication. She has found a sustainable approach that allows for some flexibility while maintaining her core healthy habits. Carol's current lifestyle includes low-carbohydrate diet under 50 grams daily, intermittent fasting most days, regular exercise, walking, swimming, strength training, stress management practices, quarterly medical monitoring. I don't feel restricted anymore, Carol said. This is just how I live now, and I feel better than I have in decades. Lessons for others. Carol's story offers hope for others facing a type 2 diabetes diagnosis, but with important caveats. Medical supervision is essential. Never attempt diabetes reversal without close medical monitoring. Early intervention is key. The sooner intensive interventions begin after diagnosis, the better the chances of success. Commitment is required. Diabetes reversal requires significant, sustained lifestyle changes that must be maintained long-term. Results vary. Not everyone will achieve the same results, and some people may still require medication despite optimal lifestyle changes. Support systems, help, family support, medical supervision, and sometimes professional counseling can make the difference between success and failure. Final thoughts. Carol's journey from diabetes diagnosis to complete reversal in 8 months is remarkable, but it's not unique. Thousands of people have successfully reversed their type 2 diabetes through intensive lifestyle changes under medical supervision. I wish every newly diagnosed diabetic knew that medication isn't necessarily inevitable, Carol said. With the right approach and medical support, you might be able to reverse this condition entirely. Carol's story reminds us that our bodies have remarkable healing capacity when given the right conditions. While not everyone will achieve the same results, her experience shows that dramatic health improvements are possible at any age with commitment, support, and proper medical guidance. Remember, this story represents one person's medically supervised experience with diabetes reversal. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to diabetes treatment or attempting lifestyle-based diabetes reversal. Thank you for joining us in Carol's inspiring journey. If you or someone you know is dealing with type 2 diabetes, please share this story responsibly and always emphasize the importance of medical supervision in any treatment approach. What questions do you have about diabetes management or lifestyle interventions? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And remember that every health journey should involve professional medical guidance.